Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are in the Alabeo DA42 and we are on the ground at Mont Blanc airfield in France. The flight today, we're going to depart out of Mont Blanc, head up the valley towards Lake Geneva and then follow the shores of Lake Geneva around to the east to take up another valley, landing at one of my favourite airfields in Flight Simulator. As you'll see in a second, the scenery in this part of the world is really quite stunning. It's a flight I was looking forward to making actually, so I hope it's a flight you guys enjoy watching as well. If you do, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. And if you have any comments or questions for me, please leave them down in the comment section below. Thanks very much and I hope you enjoy the flight. It's a pretty short runway here at Mont Blanc, so we're quite light load today. Just myself, a bit of baggage and just the main fuel tanks full. Anyway, as I say, we're ready to go, so we'll tune traffic and we'll depart out to the north. 1235.
Lima Foxtrot Hotel Zulu, traffic Diamond Golf November India Romeo Charlie, taking off runway 35, departure to the north.
Okay, park brakes off. Looks clear on the approach. Pretty short runway, so we'll make the most of it. And we'll run up to max power before we take off, just to minimise the takeoff roll. The rudder on this thing is incredibly sensitive. Much harder to keep on the centre line than in real life, so excuse me if we go all over the place. Get us full power, releasing the brakes. Doing my best to keep it on the centre line. And rotate. Threading our way through the trees. They're not really that high in real life. Okay, positive climb, gear up. That definitely wasn't realistic. I mean, we would not be so close to the trees in real life. I'm sure those trees are not that tall on the final approach into Mont Blanc. Cloud base is 4,000 feet on the ASUS, so we'll see what we can do, but we want to get at least a little bit of height. So gear is up, flaps are up, trim is as required, power lever max, the climb checklist complete. Yeah, so basically we're going to fly down this valley towards Geneva Lake, and just before Geneva we'll call for clearance into their airspace. Then we'll head along the lake, track back into the other valley out to the east, which you can just see on the map there, into Sion. We'll talk a little bit more about why we're headed to Sion in a minute. All around this part of the world though is absolutely stunning in real life, and the Ortho scenery does do it some justice. Pretty beautiful here as well. Okay, so we don't want to obviously enter into cloud with all these hills around us, so we'll level off around 4,000, that should work for us. And again, it's been so long since I flew the DA42, I don't really recall the power settings. The checklist recommends 70%, so we'll aim for that. the autopilot for 4,000. So we're going to cruise at about 150 knots, so we'll wait until we've accelerated to that, and then we'll set the power. And actually the auto gen seems to work a lot better in this part of the world than it was in the UK. That's really nice scenery. Okay, it's 150 knots, so we'll come back to 70% power. We'll see what that does to the cruise speed. If it's too low, then we'll increase the power again. We're not worried about fuel burn today. So trying to get her trimmed nicely for this power setting. All VFR navigation today, so we're not worried about navigation aids. As you can see, we're just heading down the valley now. We're going to have to fly through Geneva's airspace, so as I say, we'll call them up in a second and we'll request entry into their airspace. Okay, 70% seems to be reducing the cruise speed quite a bit, so we'll try 80%. Yeah, we're just losing a little bit of altitude there. It's all nicely trimmed now. Just going to set the autopilot for a second just to allow us to get everything set up for calling Geneva. So it's heading and out. On 9.7 for Geneva. And we'll request clearance through their airspace.
Geneva Tower, Diamond Golf, November, India, Romeo, Charlie, this type Diamond, 10 miles northwest of Lima, Foxtrot, Hotel Zulu, requesting transition. Diamond Golf, November, India, Romeo, Charlie, transition approved, report clear, Geneva Tower airspace. We'll report clear. Diamond, India, Romeo, Charlie.
They're going to be in their airspace for quite some time. Scenery is really beautiful. I'm finding a few stutters with the enhanced atmospherics turned on now, unfortunately. It does look really nice. Anyway, we're not following the flight plan exactly as I have it on the map, but just to give us an idea where we are. Basically, we want to follow the contour of the hills around to the east. We won't actually fly over the lake itself. So we'll turn right up this valley in a second.
Geneva Tower, Pacifica 9601, ready to go, runway 23, IFR.
So the first waypoint, I'm planning the turn at the airport just ahead of us now. That's to the airport of Anamas.
Clear for takeoff, runway 23, Pacifica 9601.
And this heading looks pretty good. You can see it takes us towards the lake. and then that hill just off there at 1 o'clock we'll turn right and head east. A little bit dark in here actually. Really helps. We'll turn on the instrument lights at least. Taxi light can go off now. Yeah, so why are we flying in this part of the world today? Well, a few reasons really. One, it's another good opportunity to show off some Ortho4XP scenery, and as you can see this scenery has come out a lot nicer than the one I showed you around Jersey. Absolutely stunning actually. It's all free as I say, and absolutely hats off to the developers, they've done a really amazing job. Secondly, I wanted to try out the Alabeo DA42. Just purchased it in the sale. I have flown the DA42 in the past, but it was a long time ago, so I've forgotten most of its characteristics, and I haven't used a G1000 in a long time, so it would be nice to get back into that. And the main reason is to take you to the destination airport today, which is Sion, Lima, Sierra, Golf Sierra in Switzerland. Some of you might already know Sion. It has become more infamous in the last few years, I've found, but obviously we're actually pretty close to Innsbruck right now, and I don't know, Innsbruck seems to get all the love and attention. It is a great airport, it has stunning scenery, it's a very interesting approach, but I've always found Sion to be personally much more interesting and beautiful than Innsbruck. So yeah, we're taking a trip today over to Sion so that I can show you guys what it's like. Hopefully you'll be suitably impressed. I just thought this was the perfect sort of trip to do in the Alabeo DA42. There's Onomas Airport just down on our 11 o'clock on the left. I can't quite make it out, it's a bit too hazy, but the lake is running east to west in front of us. You've got the Geneva airport over somewhere at 10 o'clock. Anyway, just to stay clear of the bulk of his airspace, we're going to follow these hills quite closely. You can take the autopilot out now. Okay, for some reason my joystick has remapped itself to gear. Not what we want to do. Bloody annoying when P3D does that. I've had that twice now where it just decides to remap your controls. Anyway, we've got the autopilot out, fly manually for a bit. Yeah, it's a little bit hazier than I was hoping for the video, but still it does show off the enhanced atmospherics quite nicely, and it really shows off the scenery in P3D V5. Obviously FS 2020 release date's been announced now and everyone's very excited for that. I think P3D V5 and X-Plane are going to see a little bit less love and attention for a while, maybe forever, but I intend to still try and utilise the sim where I can. Although that being said, if FS 2020 is as good as it looks, then obviously I'll be migrating in that direction. So, we told them we'd call when we're clear of their airspace. As you can see, the airspace I'm worried about is just to be in the Sierra Papa Romeo VOR on the map, the Saint-Preux VOR, so we'll call when we're being that. Yeah, so I did fly the DA42 many years ago. It's a lovely plane to fly, it's pretty horrible to taxi, and it's not much fun to do any training in. We used it for our multi-engine training, which requires you to do, speed's just creeping up there, I think we're getting a bit of lift off the hill. Just reduce the power, we don't want the speed getting too high. Yeah, multi-engine training requires you to do a lot of engine out work, and this thing is just not designed for that. In fact, we used to have issues with the rudder. Basically, stepping on the rudder fully all the time with the multi-engine or the engine out work, it was actually damaging the rudder connection, and it was so heavy on the rudder. You've got an engine out, you had to go full rudder for 4 or 5 minutes at a time while you're flying an approach, probably closer to 10 minutes. by the end your leg would be in pain, you'd be shaking, and all you could think about was keeping enough pressure on the damn rudder when you really wanted to be concentrating on flying an NDB approach. But for cruising around, she was an absolutely lovely aircraft, and that's what she's designed to do. She's designed to cruise around in comfort around Europe. Although the seats I did actually find were fairly uncomfortable after an extended period of time. And as I say, I haven't used the G1000 in a long time. So far I'm actually really impressed with Alabeo or Coronado's efforts. I was expecting it would just be some typical generic, PFD and then just the standard flight simulator GPS, but the functionality seems pretty reasonable so far. So here's Lake Geneva. Sort of headed towards this little bit of land on the lake. That's Tonon-les-Bains. The town just off at 11 o'clock is Tonon-les-Bains. My French isn't great, so I might be pronouncing that pretty awfully. So far my impressions of the Coronado DA42, as I say, the G1000 is really nice. It flies pretty nicely. It maybe feels a touch more wallowy than I remember the real thing being. And the takeoff, as I say, the rudder is very sensitive. I don't remember that being an issue on the real aircraft. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it actually. Certainly, I think I paid about $20 in the sale, and for that I'm very happy. It's a very nice aircraft. Have a look at our fuel.
Geneva Tower, World Travel 8104, ready to go. Runway 23, IFR, up here. World Travel.
25 gallons left, burning 6 gallons now on each side. So I've got nearly 2 hours of fuel. I've only got another 20 minutes or so to Sion, so not a concern today. Okay, so we're just passing over Tonon-les-Bains now, and passing the Sompré VOR on our left. We can call Geneva now, and we should be able to tell them we're clear of the airspace.
Geneva Tower, Diamond, India, Romeo, Charlie, is clear of the Geneva Tower airspace. Diamond, India, Romeo, Charlie, Geneva Tower, frequency change approved.
Okay, we're allowed to change frequency. We'll see if we can get Sion already. We won't call them just yet though. Looks like we're still a little bit too far away at the moment. We'll try again in a bit. And just over on our left there, around our 10 o'clock, there's the town of Montreux, which for any Deep Purple fans you'll probably recognise from the opening of the song. Gaining a little bit of altitude here, so let's trim down a touch more. Temperatures and pressures are all looking good. Yeah, obviously, you know, P3D V5's been getting a lot of stick. I saw it put very well. It's a simulator of evolution, not revolution, and that's exactly what it is. There's Montreux just on our left. Yeah, it's not, you know, it's not a massive step up from V4, but it's certainly an improvement. As you can see straight ahead of us here, I mean, the lighting, the environmentals, they're pretty amazing. Performance, initially I thought it was a lot better than P3D V4, but you always get that sort of placebo effect of installing a new sim, and then by the time you've got all your add-ons installed, it performs much the same as before. It's probably a little bit smoother, but then to counteract that, there's actually more stutters I find overall, unfortunately. But that's, you know, I still need to do a bit of tweaking myself, and I'm recording on the same PC that I'm playing on, so that never helps. So yeah, Sion, you just make it out now on the map, but basically we're going to turn right down this valley, and then there'll be a sharp left into the valley in which Sion is located. Not sure what the wind's doing yet. It'll either be a straight-in approach, or we'll have to make a circling approach onto the other runway. Yes, I've been very happy with P3D V5. Obviously I've made most of my videos in it so far. As I say, definitely looking forward to FS 2020. If it's as stunning as all the screenshots look, then I think that's going to be most people's go-to simulator. And for me, the big thing about FS 2020, I always fly in ortho scenery or photoreal scenery wherever I can, because to me it makes a huge difference in the sim. You know, I'm looking out that window right now, and it's what you see exactly in real life, and that to me is kind of half of what simming's about. I just don't get the same feeling flying in whether it's you know, default scenery or Orbex Global, although it can look very beautiful. I like to know that what I'm seeing in the sim is what I'd be seeing in real life. In this part of the world, as I said, in real life, it is absolutely stunning. I've been to Switzerland myself, and it's probably the most beautiful place I've ever seen when you get up in the hills. It's just like a picture postcard. Everything is emerald green, beautiful blue lakes and rivers, really clear, crisp, nice air, or at least on the day I was there. The hills are stunning, you know, snow-capped mountains, beautiful houses, not too overcrowded. Yeah, absolutely stunning country. I'd love to go back. So for the approach, just as a reminder to myself really, we're looking for about 190 100 to 90 knots for the approach with flat foot approach, and then for landing we'll aim to be about 85 knots or thereabouts. It says minimum 78 or 76 even, but again, first time the aircraft, I don't know how it's going to behave in the sim, and the runway in Sion's plenty long enough, so I'd rather float being a bit too fast than smash her onto the deck being a bit too slow.
Geneva Tower, world travel 8994 3 miles northeast, inbound ILS, runway 23 approach. World travel 8994.
Yeah, we seem to have a nicely trimmed now. Slight tendency to roll to the left. I don't actually. Why did I do that? See, I knocked another button on my joystick and it did that. Definitely check my controls out again. Yeah, slight tendency to roll to the left it seems. I don't recall if that was an issue or not on the real thing. I don't remember whether it had counter-rotating props. I don't think that it did. So obviously one of the massive nice things about the DA42 is the engines are all managed by FADEC, so it makes you run up way easier and power management way easier. You've just got the 2 levers to worry about rather than 6, so it's really nice for that. And looking at the map, looks like we're going to have to squeeze down this valley here, which should be quite good fun. Probably wouldn't be doing this in real life, but that's the joy of flight simulation. You can do all these cool things that you never would do otherwise. Looks like this little bit of photo imagery here didn't come out quite so well. Still got the clouds on the imagery. And that is the thing with Ortho4XP and photo imagery in general. It's only as good as the source imagery.
Tower, world travel 113 is 8 miles northeast, inbound ILS, runway 23 approach. World travel 113, Geneva Tower, continued approach, runway 23, UNH 1019er. Continued runway 23, world travel 113.
Have another check of the fuel. Still 24 gallons, so burning it very slowly. And that's another great thing about the diesel engines, they're very fuel economical, which I assume is why Diamond chose them. And we keep getting a little bit of lift and sink off the hills. Just the nature of mountain flying, I suppose. It can be quite bumpy. Can be very dangerous actually. I mean, you can get some significant sink off a hill, and if your aircraft's incapable of outclimbing the vertical descent rate, then you're potentially going to end up in the ground. I've never done any flying like this in real life, flying sort of down mountains and valleys and stuff. Love to, but again, there are inherent dangers with it, or at least inherent risks with it. And I've just never flown in a part of the world that had any scenery like this. Or if I have, I've been flying a whole lot higher than we are now. Absolutely stunning. I really hope that you guys have made it this far in the video, because as I say, I think the scenery is absolutely beautiful, and I think you're going to be really impressed with Sion Airport. And hopefully it inspires a few of you to go check it out if you haven't already. There used to be a really cool instrument arrival into Sion. It wasn't RNAV, it was all instrument, VOR based. I remember flying that a few times, and it was really good fun. I tried finding the chart for it so that we could do it today, but just can't find it anymore. Either
published, certainly not, and online generally I could not find it. It's an hour-and-a-half approach now. Still quite an interesting one, but not quite as exciting. So I thought we'd just come in VFR this way instead. See if we can get in touch again with Sion.
Pacifica 4306 line, open weight, runway 23.
18.
Line open weight, Pacifica 4306.
275.
1433, contact US.
There's a misclick there.
Sion Tower, Diamond Golf, November, India, Romeo, Charlie, this is 13 miles west with India land. Diamond Golf, November, India, Romeo, Charlie, Sion Tower, make left traffic, runway 25, UNH 1018. Mark left traffic, runway 25, Diamond, India, Romeo, Charlie.
Okay, so 1018, the altimeter we already have set. He wants us on runway 25. So it will be a straight in, no it won't, correction, it will be a circling approach to the other runway. Should be good fun. And we can just grab the ATIS. Probably should have got that before we called him, but
Lima, Sierra, Golf, Sierra, airport information, November 0420, Zulu, weather, wind 257 at 8, visibility 10,000, sky condition, ceiling 8,000, broken, temperature 17, dew point 12, QNH 1018, advise on initial contact, you have information, November.
okay, so nice headwind for 25. Yeah, I just wanted to call him before we enter his airspace. And how beautiful is that? I mean, we're just at the start of the valley, but really stunning. And again, the Ortho4XP has done an amazing job with the auto gen. It was very hit and miss when I tried doing it with the Channel Islands, but as I say, I mean, this is as good as payware as far as I'm concerned. So we just keep flying down this valley and we'll eventually come to Sion Airport. And he wants us for a left circuit for runway 25. Getting a bit tail heavy now, so trimming nose down a little bit more. T's and P's are good. And I've just remembered you actually have to go to the fuel page to look for the fuel quantity. It's right there. Yeah, I just filled up the main tanks, not the auxiliary tanks, and as I said, no passengers today. Basically trying to get out of Mont Blanc at heavy weight just wasn't possible. And as you can see, even with the lighter weight we took, we just cleared the trees. But there's so many stunning, beautiful airports around this part of the world. You pick almost any one, you can't go wrong. I was really struggling to decide where we were going to depart from today. I'd never been out of Mont Blanc before, so I thought, why not? But there's Courchevel, obviously pretty famous. I was thinking about that. One of my personal favourites is a place called Chambéry-Aix-les-Bains. It's another French airport in a valley. Beautiful airport. Highly recommend that as well. I'm sure we'll go there at some point. Today, here we are in Sion. So you can see the airport now just off our nose. And as I say, I just think it's much more interesting than Innsbruck. It's got the hills much closer. Okay, probably not so many larger aircraft coming in here. I suppose people like Innsbruck because they can fly their 737s or their A320s in there. Unfortunately, again, the hills are rather obscured by the cloud, which does detract from the scenery a little, but yeah, still pretty beautiful. So we're just coming onto our left downwind in a minute. The brakes are off, undercarriage will extend on downwind. Mixture we don't have to worry about, fuel is sufficient. Landing light and taxi light can go on, and our harness is secure. Yeah, we can come back on the power now, we'll start descending. We'll do a nice long downwind. There's a little sort of opening in the valley just out to the east, so it gives us a nice space to turn around in. You can see a little bit more of the scenery. Gear warning horn. I'm not actually sure whether any commercial airlines do fly into Sion or not. I'd expect maybe a couple of, smaller airlines would, or maybe Swiss Air, but smaller aircraft is what I mean. Doesn't look like we've got any parked there today though. Yeah, so you can make out the clearing now a bit better, which I plan to turn into.
India, Romeo Charlie, cleared to land, runway 25. Cleared to land, runway 25. Diamond,
He
India,
clears to
Romeo
land.
Charlie.
Yeah, we'll start coming back on the speed a little so that we can lower the gear. There's max 137 knots for the flaps, so I assume the gear would be at least that. Doesn't seem to say in the Carenado manual that I have in front of me. So we can lower the gear now. Three greens. Another beautiful valley, and we'll start our turn and go approach flap. So we'll try and maintain about 90 knots. Just reminded me actually years ago on the DA42 we were flying an ILS into an airport, just training, and we had a, don't remember what it was now, but some sort of jet coming up behind us, so we were flying 140 knots all the way down to a very sort of close short final, which was good fun to configure at the last moment. Yeah, we just overshot final slightly there, which we didn't really want to do. Keep doing that recently actually in videos, got to sort that out. Almost on profile. Now we'll take flaps full. So undercarriage is down, flaps are set, landing clearance is received, the runway is clear. And we'll maintain about 80 knots as I say. More power. Taking a lot of power to keep her at 80 knots. few little bumps on the approach as well. I just realised I don't have my taxi chart to hand, but looks like we're going to probably land long of that exit on the right, so we'll vacate to the left. then we'll figure out where we need to go. Actually, it looks like there's another exit on the right. If we can, we'll exit to the right. Not following the PAPI too closely. No need. We'll just try and minimise the landing roll. Being a little bit to the left here. No excuse of a crosswind. Okay, cut the power. Try and keep her on the centre line. A little bit heavier than I was hoping. And we're braking. And we will come off on the right. Again, that view is blooming lovely.
Diamond India Romeo Charlie, contact ground on 121.7. Over 2121.7, Diamond India Romeo Charlie, bye-bye.
And looks like it's not going to give us any options for parking, so we'll just park ourselves. The landing light can go off, strobes off. Offline checklist, transponder is on standby. Pitot heat off. Avionics as required, lights as required, flaps up. The after landing check is complete. We'll just park her up over here. So remember the DA42 being a real dog's taxi in real life. Doesn't have any nose wheel steering, I seem to recall. It's just a castering nose wheel, so you have to brake to actually get around a corner. There's a funny story about my first experience taxiing around a corner in this thing, but we'll save that for another day. So park brake is on. Shutdown checklists, power idle for 2 minutes. We won't wait 2 minutes for the sake of the video. We've already been low power for nearly 2 minutes anyway. Avionics master off. Electrical consumers off. Lights off. Oops, wrong one. Oh, it's variable. That's good. Didn't know that. Yeah, electrical consumers off. Engine masters off. Anti-collision lights off. See, we have one in the Coronado version. And electrical master off. Is the shutdown checklist complete? Parking checklist. It's basically all just pitot covers and chocks and stuff. We won't bother with that. Just open the canopy. One last quick look around for anyone that's interested. As I say, I think it's a really beautiful part of the world, and if you agree, hopefully you'll go check it out. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. And if you have any comments or questions for me, please leave them down in the comment section below. As I say, I have flown the DA42 in the past, so I'll try my best to answer any questions. But also, as I say, it was a long time ago, so there are rather a lot of holes in my memory. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.